Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is August 8th, 2025, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Cisco, the mega titan, moves to new all-time record highs. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So we have a 2:30 South African time from Canada, an employment change number coming out. Now looking at the markets, starting out the Forex symbols, the British pound continues to slide versus the US dollar. US dollar advances versus the British pound. And looking at the indices, the Dow Jones sells lower, while the NASDAQ really unchanged. Now looking at commodities, gold advances while crude oil slides lower. And looking at the stocks, they're really drifting lower besides Cisco, maybe Apple moving a little bit higher, but that's the market conditions that we're in. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin bouncing back to 118. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the GBP USD. Now it's at the end of its move, I would say, as it's getting closer to that 30-day moving average. But it did make a big bounce here, okay? Because we did have 1, 2, and then this aggressive move at the supporters level at 131.63. So that's a pretty decent area for us to bounce back to. Okay, so keep that in mind as this still unfolds. Now looking at the Canadian dollar, it did trade lower here. Okay, and that's really a reflection of the price of crude oil. Crude oil trading at $64.21. So with this number coming out later today, not sure how much is going to play out. Maybe a good pivot move for the upside, as it might give us that opportunity. Now, lastly, looking at the Japanese yen, it did get weaker this week versus the dollar and then gave up some of those gains, as you can see here, but really unchanged for right now. Now, jumping into commodities, we'll look at crude oil. We're going to look at gold. Gold had a nice rally here to 3,400. Now, we're at the top of the move. So at this stage, I'm thinking more, if I'm long here, I'm thinking more to flip it on the short side, okay, as we're really closing in on that 3430-ish level, which is the high. So anywhere between here and 3430 would be my resistance-ish area. Now jumping into the U.S. markets, all right? So the NASDAQ didn't do much lower yesterday, but the Dow Jones did. It sold off a little bit yesterday, as you can see right there in a 4-hour chart. If you look at a daily, yeah, it's not big deal, but it's a big deal. However, looking at a daily, we do see a crossover with the 8-day over the 30-day moving average. That's important because that's maybe a deciding factor, but maybe we'll be starting to go down and sell off here. Now let's look at the individual stocks, all right? So the one stock that was super strong, okay, that is kind of like setting me off, okay, in a different direction is Cisco. Cisco, look at that, a gap up and go to 69.92. Now, in all intents and purposes, it's all-time record highs, okay? If we look at it like that, all-time record highs. I don't believe even in 2000, where you could see right here in October of 2000, when we were trading in these type of intervals, we were not at 69. I believe we were at $66 a share. So this is all-time record highs for Cisco on the price, record price. So keep that in mind. However, when we look at the rest of the stocks, they sold off, okay? Amazon had a little bit of a day up, but JP Morgan continued to slide. If we look at Bank of America, it slid, okay? Microsoft actually selling off here, okay? So it pretty much almost closed the gap, okay? Because our gap up from last week to 554 down to 520. A great opportunity on the downside there. And if we look at Bitcoin, on the other markets, it's at 116 right now. So the markets are kind of shifting right now, and we got to take these opportunities as they come. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.
My advice, this is the best time to trade.